Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to online classes of Iqra Ufaz Boys College, a project of Iqra education system. My dear brothers, in the last video lectures, we have already covered some topics of prose, poetry and grammar. Today, we are going to start chapter number 2, Reflections on the Reawakening East, written by Bertrand Russell. This chapter will be covered in 4 parts. Part number 1, introduction to the passage. Part number 2, introduction to the author. Part number 3, keywords and their meanings. And part number 4, summary and explanation. Today in this video lecture, I will cover the starting 2 topics, introduction to the passage and introduction to the author. Let's start with introduction to the passage. The reawakening of the East was a huge movement, some about 2000 years ago. Power changed hands from the East to the West throughout this period. In the earliest history, the East dominated the world for around 8 centuries. This period is known as Islamic Golden Age. This was the period of cultural, economic and scientific flourishing in the history of Islam. Its supremacy was not only military, but science, philosophy, poetry and the arts all flourished in the Muslim world in East, where Europe was sunk in the Dark Ages. The various Quranic injunctions and hadiths, which place values on education and emphasize the importance of acquiring knowledge, played a vital role in influencing the Muslims of this age in their search for knowledge and the development of the body of science. This period is traditionally said to have ended with the collapse of the Abbasid Caliphate due to Mongol invasions and the siege of Baghdad in probably about 1258 AD. As in 1206 AD, Genghis Khan established a powerful dynasty among the Mongols of Central Asia. During the 13th century, this Mongol empire conquered most of the Eurasian landmass, including Southeast and much of the old Islamic Caliphate in the West. The destruction of Baghdad and the House of Wisdom by Halaku Khan in 1258 is considered as the end of the Islamic Golden Age, and the power shifted to the Western world of today. In this essay, Reflections on Reawakening East, the writer feels as the East is reawakening, a time may come when East may again take a lead in the world politics. Let's go through the introduction to the author. His complete name was Bertrand Arthur William Russell. He was born on 18th May 1872 and died on 2nd February 1970. It is his graduation from Trinity College, Cambridge, and he was in the era of 20th century philosophy. He won many awards, some of them are written on the board here. De Morgan Medal in 1932, Sylvester Medal in 1934, he won Nobel Prize in Laureate in 1950, then he won Kalinga Prize in 1957 and Jerusalem Prize in 1963. His main interests included epistemology, ethics, logic, mathematics, metaphysics, history of philosophy, philosophy of culture, philosophy of language, philosophy of logic, philosophy of mathematics, philosophy of mind, philosophy of perception, philosophy of religion, philosophy of science, philosophy of social science, and whatnot. The list goes on and on. Well, my brothers, Bertrand Arthur William Russell, 3rd Earl Russell, was a British polymath, philosopher, logician, mathematician, historian, writer, social critic, political activist, and Nobel laureate. Russell was born into one of the most prominent aristocratic families in the United Kingdom. He is considered one of the founders of analytic philosophy. He is widely held as one of the 20th century's premier logicians. He wrote Principia Mathematica, an attempt to create a logical basis for mathematics. His philosophical essay on denoting has been considered a paradigm of philosophy. His work has had a considerable influence on mathematics, logic, set theory, linguistics, artificial intelligence, cognitive science, computer science, and philosophy, especially the philosophy of language, epistemology, and metaphysics. Political and social activism occupied much of Russell's time for most of his life. Russell remained politically active almost to the end of his life. My brothers, Russell argued for a scientific society where war would be abolished, population growth would be limited, and prosperity would be shared. His notable and selected bibliography of books include The Principles of Mathematics, On Denoting, The Problems of Philosophy, Principles of Social Reconstruction, Why Men Fight, Justice in Wartime, Political Ideals, Proposed Roads to Freedom, The Problems of China, The Conquest of Happiness, Which Way to Peace, A History of Western Philosophy, New Hopes for Changing World, The Impact of Science on Society, Wisdom of the West, Unarmed Victory, War Crimes in Vietnam, and an essay on Reflections on the Reawakening East. These are just a few names out of more than about 60 books and over 2,000 articles he had written. In short, Bertrand Russell is considered an authority in many fields of knowledge. My brothers, it was a brief introduction to the passage and a brief introduction to the author today in this video lecture. In the next video lecture tomorrow, inshallah, we are going to discuss keywords and their meanings used in this article, so that when you are going through this article or listening to my summary and explanation, you should face no problem in understanding some unfamiliar and new words. Till then, take very good care of yourselves. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.